I never thought I'd be the guy who finds out his wife has been cheating on him with his own brother. I mean, you hear about stuff like that in movies, but you never believe it can happen to you. It all started a few months ago when our family reunion rolled around. My wife, Lisa, and I had been married for 5 years, and I thought things were solid. We'd gone through the usual ups and downs, but I trusted her, or so I thought. The reunion was at my parents' house, a big sprawling place out in the countryside. It's where everyone gathers, uncles, aunts, cousins, everyone. My brother Jake was there too, of course. We're close. Too close sometimes, I guess. Looking back, I should have seen the signs, but I didn't. I was busy catching up with relatives, sneaking beers, joking around. Lisa was hanging out with her friends, acting normal. That night, I was in the living room, halfway through a beer, when I noticed something odd. Lisa wasn't in sight, but I saw her purse on the table. Not strange on its own, she always kept her purse close. But what caught my eye was a small, crumpled piece of paper sticking out of it. I hesitated. My gut told me I shouldn't snoop, but curiosity won out. I reached in and pulled out the note. It was a handwritten message, hurried and shaky. "Meet me at the hotel at 9. Don't tell anyone." My stomach sank, my mind spun. Hotel? Who was she meeting? I looked around, but no one else seemed to notice. I felt my fists tight. That note was enough. I decided to follow her. I waited until she was busy chatting with the relatives, then snuck outside. The night air was cool, the kind that makes your skin crawl. I kept my distance, watching her slip into her car. She drove off, and I followed at a distance, heart pounding, adrenaline sharp and cold at the back of my neck. That's when I saw it, the sign for a small, nondescript hotel a few miles away from the reunion spot. I parked a block away and watched through the window. I saw her go inside, then wait, nervously fidgeting with her phone. My stomach twisted. I was about to confront her then and there, but something told me to wait, patience, planning. I needed proof, not just my gut. I waited until she left, used the key I'd secretly taken from her purse, and entered the hotel room she'd been using. That's when everything shattered. The room looked like a scene from a dirty movie, with clothes scattered everywhere, half-eaten food, and something else. I recognized the telltale look of a makeshift stash. An open box with receipts, a few bottles of liquor, and a piece of paper with someone's name and a number scribbled on it. It hit me then, this was more than just a quick fling. She and my brother were sneaking around, hiding it all behind my back. For a moment I just stood there, angry and numb all at once. My hands were slick with sweat and my vision blurred around the edges. The words "I trusted her" kept echoing in my head, but that trust was gone now. All I could feel was a burning cold in my chest, like a deep, betrayed void. They'd been lying to me for months, maybe longer, and I hadn't even seen the signs. I left the room without touching anything, my mind racing with questions I didn't have answers for. How long had this been going on? What else had they kept hidden? I knew I couldn't stay silent. That was the moment I decided I'd do something about it. Whatever came next, I was done being the fool in this story. Back home, I sat in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of everything crashing down. My hands clenched into fists. I didn't plan to confront them right away. I needed a plan. Something cold, calculated, and final. That's when I started to see how I could turn this around. They thought they'd gotten away with it, but I was about to show them they hadn't. Would I tell everyone, confront her, or something else? I knew I needed to keep my head clear, but one thing was certain: this wasn't just a betrayal, it was a breaking point, and I was about to make sure they regretted crossing that line. The next morning, I woke up with a pounding head and a stomach that felt like I'd swallowed gravel. The night before kept replaying in my mind, her sneaky note, the hotel room, the looks on her face as she left the reunion. I was furious. But more than that, I was determined. I had a plan now, and I wasn't going to let this go. I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with, so I started digging into the evidence I found. First, I went back to the hotel room. I needed to see if I could find more clues, something I might have missed in my initial rush. I was careful, trying not to disturb anything, but I knew how to look. The crumpled receipts, the scribbled note, the discarded clothing, all of it told a story. The receipts showed they'd been there several times, and the name on the note pointed to someone I didn't recognize. My mind raced. How deep did this go? I also remembered the small stash I'd seen the night before. It was a mess, but I examined the bottles and papers more closely. Turns out, they'd been planning this for a while. The liquor bottles had labels from a local store, receipts with dates that matched up with the last few weekends. It was clear they'd been sneaking off for secret rendezvous, hiding everything from me. That bastard Jake had been involved for months, maybe longer, and I'd been blind to it. I sat there in the hotel room, the smell of stale cigarette smoke and cheap perfume filling my nose. My fists clenched involuntarily. How could they be so reckless, so stupid? The pain was sharp, but I pushed past it, reminding myself that I needed to stay focused. Right now I was gathering ammunition, evidence that I could use when I was ready to confront them. I grabbed my phone and took photos of everything, receipts, the stash, even a note I found tucked in the corner. This was my insurance, my proof. I knew I'd need it if I wanted to do something that would send a message. They thought they'd covered their tracks, but I was going to make sure they knew I wasn't going to let this slide. Back home, I poured myself a shot of whiskey, trying to steady my nerves. I couldn't afford to be emotional, not now. I had to think logically. I couldn't just go in swinging. No, I needed to play this smart. I'd confront Lisa first, get her to admit everything. The more I thought about it, the clearer my plan became. I'd set her up, catch her in the act again if I had to, but I'd make sure she knew I was in control. That afternoon, I called her. Her voice was hesitant when she picked up, like she sensed I knew something. I kept it calm, calm enough to hide the storm inside. "Hey Lisa, we need to talk, it's important." She hesitated, then said, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I paused, then said, "I know about the hotel, about you and Jake. I found your note, your stash. Don't even try to deny it. I have the evidence. So let's be honest. Why did you do this?" There was a long silence on the other end. I could almost hear her thinking, then she finally spoke, voice trembling. "You don't understand. It was just a mistake. I was drunk and it meant nothing." That was bullshit, of course. I knew better now, but I needed her to admit it outright. That's when I told her I'd been to the hotel myself. Her voice caught in her throat. "You went there?" "Yeah," I said coldly. "And I saw everything. The stash, the receipts, and I've got photos. If you think this is just a mistake, then you're wrong, because I don't see how you can come back from this, ever." The line went dead for a moment. When she finally spoke again, she sounded defeated but also desperate. "Please, just listen. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was stupid, I was drunk, I never wanted to hurt you. Please, let's talk about this in person." I didn't trust her, not anymore, but I knew I needed to decide my next move carefully. I had the evidence. I had her admitting she'd been unfaithful. I could go nuclear, or I could try to get some answers, see if she had any reason, any explanation that could salvage something. But deep down, I knew I wasn't coming back from this. The trust was shattered, and I was done pretending everything was fine. I hung up and looked at the photos I'd taken. I felt a cold, heavy weight settle in. This was only the beginning. Now, I had to figure out how to execute my revenge without crossing the line into chaos. I didn't want to break her. I just wanted her to feel what she'd done, to understand that betrayal had consequences. There was a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. My heart skipped a beat. Was it her, Jake, or someone else? I didn't move right away, my mind racing, trying to prepare myself for whatever was coming next. Because I knew one thing, this was about to get a lot worse before it got better. I didn't move immediately when I heard the knock. My mind spun in 1,000 directions, trying to guess who it could be. Was it Lisa coming to beg for another chance? Jake coming to explain himself? Or someone else entirely? I knew I had to stay calm, but my palms were slick with sweat and my stomach twisted with a mixture of anger and dread. I slowly approached the door, my pulse pounding so loudly I thought it might give me away. I peeked through the peephole. No one was there. Silence. I hesitated, then slowly opened the door a crack. It was just a delivery guy holding a package. I signed for it, my fingers trembling slightly. I closed the door, leaned against it, and took a deep breath. Inside, I surveyed the evidence I'd collected and thought about what I'd do with it. I couldn't keep this bottled up, not anymore. I needed to do something, and I needed to do it fast. But I also knew that I couldn't just confront Lisa without knowing what my next step was. That's when I remembered the stash of receipts and the note. They were my leverage. I pulled out my phone and dialed a trusted friend, someone I knew would listen without judging. I needed advice. "Listen," I said, "I've got proof of everything. I've seen the hotel room. The stash, the receipts, the note. I want to make her pay, but I need to be smart about this. What should I do? My friend hesitated for a moment. You want to make her understand what she's done. Then don't blow everything up yet. Play it cool. Get her to confess again, maybe even push her further. You want her to realize she's lost you for good. That made sense. I was already feeling the rage bubbling up, but I knew I had to keep it in check. I couldn't afford to make mistakes now. If I played my cards right, I could turn this into my advantage. I had the evidence, I had her admission. They just made it easier than I ever imagined. I needed to plan my move carefully. Later that evening, I invited her over for a talk. No shouting, no accusations, just a calm conversation. I wanted her to feel cornered, vulnerable. She arrived looking nervous, her eyes darting around the room. I sat on the sofa, arms crossed, watching her. She sat down, trembling. I know everything, I said softly but coldly. About the hotel, the stash, the notes, the lies. I want to hear it from you. Why? She looked down, tears brimming, voice barely a whisper. I never meant for it to go this far. It just happened. I was drunk and I was stupid. I swear I love you. I didn't want to hurt you. I shook my head slowly. That's not good enough. You lied for months, hid a whole part of your life from me. And my brother, your own brother, are you kidding me? She looked up, eyes pleading. Please give me a chance to fix this. I'll do anything, just don't throw everything away. I felt something snap inside. The betrayal, the sting of it all made my stomach churn. I knew then I couldn't just let her walk away with a slap on the wrist. I had to make her realize she'd ruined everything. That's when I finally laid out my plan, my revenge cold, calculated, and precise. You want a second chance, I said, voice dripping with quiet menace. Then I have one for you, but it's not what you think. You see, I've been planning this since I found out. You and Jake thought you were clever, sneaking around behind my back. Well, I've turned the tables. Her eyes widened. What do you mean? I reached into my pocket and pulled out the photos I'd taken. These, all the proof I need. But I also have one last thing, an envelope with everything I've collected, including your confession. And I'm going to send it to everyone. Family, friends, your boss, everyone you care about. Because I want them to know exactly what kind of person you really are. Her face went pale, tears streaming down her cheeks. Please don't do that. Just give me a chance to explain. I took a deep breath, feeling that cold sense of satisfaction build inside me. It's too late for that. You lied, you cheated, and you betrayed the people closest to you. You want to fix this. Then you're going to leave tonight. You're going to pack your things and get out of my house. And I will be forwarding all this evidence to those who need to see it. You want to ruin your reputation. Be my guest. But I'll be damned if I let you do it to me. She looked devastated, voice trembling. You're really going to do this? Yes, I said, standing up. Because I deserve better than this. I deserve honesty, respect. And I sure as hell don't deserve to be betrayed by my own family. She left quietly after that, sobbing, her shoulders hunched. I watched her go, feeling a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. I'd finally taken control, but I knew the fallout was coming. Either she'd disappear forever, or everything would unravel. That's how revenge works. You set the trap, and then you wait to see what happens next. I just hoped I was ready for the fallout. The house felt so much colder after she left. The silence was deafening, like the walls were echoing all the lies and betrayal. I sat down on the couch, staring at the pile of evidence I'd gathered. Photos, receipts, her trembling confession, all of it laid out in front of me. For a moment I just stared, feeling the weight of what I'd done settle deep into my chest. I knew I'd crossed a line, but honestly I didn't care anymore. She'd broken everything, my trust, my marriage, my sense of security. My whole world had shifted in a matter of hours. I could still feel that cold chill from the hotel, the sting of betrayal burning behind my eyes. The worst part, knowing that everyone would see her for what she truly was. Now that I had everything, I started planning my next move. I had to be methodical. I needed her to feel this, really feel it, without making an idiot of myself. I couldn't just send the evidence to my family or friends straight away. That'd be too obvious. If I wanted her to understand how deep her betrayal cut, I had to do it in a way that would hit her hardest, quietly, with no warning. So I crafted my plan. I'd send out the evidence not just to the usual suspects, but to her workplace, her friends, her social circle. I knew her secret contacts, her email, her social media. I'd make her see that the damage was irreparable. The key was in the timing. I had to wait until she was most vulnerable, most desperate, to really make her understand what she'd lost. That night I sat at my computer staring at her email account. It was easy enough to access, especially since I knew her password. I meticulously uploaded the photos, the receipts, the note. I crafted a message cold and straightforward. This is what your secret looks like, no more lies. I was careful not to add anything that could be traced back to me directly, no names, no phone numbers, just the evidence raw and unfiltered. Once it was sent, I leaned back and waited. The house was silent again, but inside I felt a strange calm. I had finally exerted some control, some measure of justice. Or so I told myself. I knew it was only the beginning. The fallout would come fast and hard. Sure enough, within hours my phone started buzzing with notifications. Texts from family and friends, some angry, some confused. I kept my face blank when I answered a few. I didn't want to look suspicious. I told my sister I was going through some things and that I needed space. I didn't want anyone to suspect I was the one behind it. Not yet. The next morning I woke to a flurry of messages. Lisa's boss called furious, saying she'd seen the images and didn't believe what he was seeing. Her closest friends were whispering behind her back, some outright confronting her. The online backlash started almost immediately. One of her social media accounts had been flooded with questions, accusations. I stayed quiet, watching everything unfold like a spectator. It was satisfying in a way I hadn't anticipated. Her perfect image was crumbling, and I was responsible for it. But I also felt a hollow emptiness creeping in. This was revenge, sure, but it was also destruction, something I'd be living with for a long time. Later that day, I ran into her at the grocery store. She looked like a ghost, eyes red, face pale. When she saw me, her jaw tightened and she tried to avoid eye contact. I stopped in front of her, feeling the weight of everything I'd done. "You done messing around?" I asked, voice cold. She swallowed hard. "What did you do?" I looked her straight in the eyes. "I just made sure everyone knows the truth. No more hiding, no more lies." Her voice trembled. "You're ruining me." "I'm just giving everyone a chance to see who you really are," I said. "You should have thought about that before you cheated on me with my own brother." She looked like she was about to cry. "Please don't do this. I didn't mean for it to get this bad." I shook my head. "Too late. You broke it, Lisa. You broke us. And I've just been making sure everyone knows how you did it." She turned and rushed away, tears streaming down her face. I watched her go, feeling that strange mix of satisfaction and regret again. I'd won this round, but at what cost? I'd shattered her life, yes, but I'd also shattered a part of myself. That's the brutal truth I had to live with. I didn't plan to make any more moves for now. I just wanted her to see that I was serious, that I wasn't going to let her walk away lightly. And as I stared after her, I realized something. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about finally taking control of a situation I'd lost myself in. I wasn't the same man I was yesterday, and I knew I'd never be again. The fallout from what I did started rolling in faster than I expected. Word spread through our social circles, family groups, and even her workplace. The photos, the messages, it was all out there. I could see the change in her face when she went out in public like a ghost. Every glance, every whispered comment was a reminder that her secret was no longer hidden. It was a sick kind of victory, watching her unravel, knowing I was the reason. But beneath that cold satisfaction, something darker was taking root. I felt it in the way my hands trembled when I saw her cry, in the way my stomach clenched when I saw her try to defend herself. That's when I realized revenge was a poison I'd swallowed, and now I was the one suffering from it. One day she finally cornered me in the kitchen, her eyes red and her voice shaky. "Why are you doing this?" "I'm sorry, okay? I screwed up, but I didn't mean for everything to blow up like this." I looked at her, feeling nothing but a numb, hollow ache. "You didn't mean for it to blow up. You think I wanted to find out my wife was cheating on me with my brother. You think I wanted to see everything I trusted in your face crumble." Her shoulders shook as she tried to hold herself together. "I was weak, I made a terrible mistake, but I love you, I want to fix this." I took a step back, feeling a cold wave of anger surge through me. "Fix it? You want to fix it, it's broken beyond repair. You think you can just say sorry and I'll forget. No, you lied, you betrayed me, and you dragged our family into this mess. And now I've made sure everyone knows what kind of person you are. That's my revenge. You wanted secrecy. Well, now it's out in the open. Her eyes widened and she clutched her chest. Please, don't do this. I'll leave if I have to. I'll go anywhere. Just don't ruin me like this. I felt my jaw tight. Too late for that. You got what you wanted, your secret exposed, but I'm not done yet. I want you to understand exactly what you did to us, and I want you to remember that I am the one who finally took control. She looked like she was about to break apart. You're hurting me. Good, I thought. That's exactly what she deserved. I hope you're hurting because what you did to me was worse. I'm done pretending everything's okay. From now on, I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth about you, about Jake, about everything. She backed away, tears streaming down her face. You're going to destroy everything. Maybe, but you already did that yourself. I reached out and grabbed her hand, feeling the cold trembling of her fingers. Here's the thing, you're not coming back from this. I don't trust you anymore, and I won't be part of a lie, so I'm giving you one last chance. Pack your things and leave, just go, don't come back. She looked at me, eyes filled with despair. You really mean it? Yes, I said firmly, and I'll be sending the evidence to everyone I know. Let them see what kind of person you really are. That's the only way you're going to learn. As she turned and disappeared down the hall, I felt a strange mixture of relief and emptiness. I'd finally taken control, but I also knew I'd forever carry this scar. Revenge had its cost. I could see it now, the bitter taste of victory and the hollow ache of losing someone I once loved. That night I sat alone in the quiet, reflecting. I'd done what I set out to do, but at what price? I knew the damage was done and there was no undoing it. I'd planted my flag in the ground, and now I just had to wait and see how everything crumbled around her. Or maybe how I would rebuild from the ashes. Either way, I was done pretending I was innocent in this. I had played my part, and now the pieces were falling into place. The days that followed were a whirlwind of chaos and silence. She left, of course, without a word. Her belongings vanished in the middle of the night, and I sealed the house shut, locking away the memories that haunted every corner. I kept the evidence I'd collected, not out of spite. Well, maybe a little out of spite, but because I knew I'd need it someday. It was a reminder of how far I had come, and a warning to anyone who thought betrayal was without consequence. People started reaching out, family, friends, her coworkers, all with their own opinions, their own judgments. I kept quiet about what I'd done. Instead, I simply let the fallout speak for itself. The truth was out there, unfiltered and raw, and I watched her reputation crumble from afar. The social media storm was relentless. Her friends turned cold, her employer questioned her integrity, and even some family members who once supported her kept their distance. In the end, I knew I had to do one last thing, the final act of my revenge, and it was the only thing that mattered now. I went to her apartment where she'd left most of her things. I took everything she cared about, clothes, jewelry, even her favorite books, and placed the keys on the table with a small note. It read, "You made your choice. This is your consequence. Don't come back." I handed the keys over, turned, and walked out. The apartment door clicked shut behind me, and I felt a strange sense of relief, like I'd finally closed a chapter I never wanted to open. The taste of revenge was bitter, but it was mine now. I'd made her pay, and I'd made sure the world saw her for who she truly was. Standing outside, the cold air felt sharp against my skin. I looked up at the sky, stars faint in the night. I knew I'd never forget. The betrayal, the heartbreak, the rage, they'd all stay with me, etched into who I was now. But I also knew I was stronger because of it. I had taken control when I thought I'd lost everything. And as I turned away from that place for good, I realized something that would stay with me forever. Sometimes, revenge isn't about hurting others. It's about reclaiming what you thought you lost, about standing tall when everything else is falling apart. I had done that. I had finally taken back my dignity piece by piece, even if it came at a cost. Walking down the sidewalk into the dark night, I felt lighter than I had in years. I didn't need her anymore. I didn't need the lies or betrayal to define me. I was done playing the victim. I was the one who had orchestrated the end, and I was ready to rebuild, knowing I'd faced the worst and survived. The truth is, sometimes the greatest act of strength is walking away when everything feels broken. That's what I did. And I knew, deep down, that the real healing begins when you let go of what's been poisoned, when you finally stop fighting to fix what's irreparably shattered and start learning how to live with the pieces.